Hey everyone, my name is Carissa.
And my name is Tyler.
And welcome to the Christ Fellowship Young Adult YouTube channel. We are the young adult ministry of Christ Fellowship Church in South Florida. We're a community of young adults who love Jesus, are seeking after his purposes for us so that we can transform the culture around us.
And we're so glad that you've made it here. And while you're here, go ahead and take a second to hit the subscribe button, get connected to all that we're doing, and you'll never miss a beat. Here you'll find a new message every week curated just for our young adults community that we get from Thursdays or 7:30 gatherings. You'll be able to watch and listen to our very own podcast, the Young and Adulting Podcast. Look out for all our special original music, content, and more from our young adults team.
Yeah, check out the description below for more info on who we are, what we do, and how you can be a part of it. And share this page with a friend who needs to jump in and be a part of this community. Well, welcome to the CF Young Adults YouTube channel.
Thank you. Can y'all give it up for this team that led us in worship? So grateful for y'all and grateful for Carlos for bringing this up here for me. Couldn't do it without you, bro. Carlos and I go way back. We go way back to El Salvador. Can you believe that? We do. I got a phone call from Carlos one day in, I think last year before that, April, and it was, hey dude, that's how we started. You want to do something crazy? And I have now learned my lesson that if a Salvadorian friend ever calls you and says, hey, you want to do something crazy, your automatic response should not be yes, it should be what? Because I just say, yeah, I'm in. Whatever it is, I'm in. I ended up in El Salvador that weekend so that Carlos could file some tax papers. I don't even know what it was. It was insane. I was here and then I was there. Wild. So Carlos, thank you. I love you. I only got food poisoning one time in El Salvador, but only once. That's impressive. Guys, I want us to do something. If it's your first time here, my name is Lewis. My wife and I get to lead young adults here at Gardens in Jupiter Riviera. It's a blast. We love it. But one of the things we do in this moment is this is a participatory moment. So this is not just me up here talking. This is us doing this together. So can you repeat something after me? Can we try it out? Can I hear you say 4, 5, 3, 5. LSU beat the Florida Gators 45-35. Hello. Any Florida fans in here? Y'all were really proud last week. This week, you're not as loud anymore. I wonder why. I love LSU. My family's from Louisiana. I wish I was born there. I'm the first generation, not born in Louisiana, forever pretty much. So I'm an LSU guy. Love them, and I love to trash talk. Any trash talkers in the room? Come on. I'm not on LSU's football team at all, but if you start talking to me about LSU football, I will throw down. And I know the consequences. Are sometimes severe whenever we play, an Alabama in 2 weeks. I'm going to be a little calmer with my trash talk then because I know that, Alabama, well, maybe not this year. Tennessee beat them. But Tennessee people, all right, non-sports people are like, what is this? Is this church? Guys, I'm blinded by this light right here, and I can't see a thing, and I think I'm about to fall. So if there's any way we could turn that down, that would be appreciated. So I love to trash talk. I love to talk to people. With Carlos, we go to El Salvador. Anybody ever been to Duffy's? Okay, I'm going somewhere. One of our first times here at Gardens, we finished tear down. It's past 10 o'clock. We look for any restaurant that's open past 10, and there's not many. It's Taco Bell, which is hit or miss, and Duffy's. And so we say that we're going to Duffy's, and I think Chris and Sarah, y'all got there first. And you said, what do you want, Kalisa? We said we want wings because wings are good. I love some good buffalo wings. How many wings do we want? Well, there's 2 of us, and we're both very hungry, and I could probably eat 50, so let's just get 25. Do you know how much 25 wings cost at Duffy's at 10:45 at night? $50. I've learned something in life. I've learned that before I jump out and make a big decision, I need to count the cost. Before Carlos calls me up again and says, you want to do something crazy? I need to count the cost. I need to figure out what it is we're doing. Whenever I'm trash talking Ole Miss, who we will destroy this Saturday, I'm going to count the costs before I do that. And before I go buy wings at Duffy's, I'm going to count the costs. Now, if you've been with us for a couple weeks, we've been in this collection of talks we're calling It's Our Turn Now. Because a couple weeks ago, we had an event called Wake, and we talked about, got some people excited for Wake. We talked about revival and what that meant. And maybe it's your first time. I'm going to give you the spark notes. Revival means to live again. And we believe that God is going to cause something to live again inside of us. He's going to cause some dreams to live again. He's going to cause us spiritually to live again, our communities, our homes to live again. But we can't rest on what other people have done. It's our turn now. It's our turn now. And tonight what I want to do is try to count the costs of what it will take for us to bring revival to our lives, for us to bring revival to our communities, our homes, our nation, our world. I think it goes without saying that we need things to live again. Because I look at the news, but I don't even need to look at the news. I look at my life and I see dead things in me. I see who I know God has made me to be and who I am, and I need revival. And we're going to count the cost. And this is actually really interesting. I was studying this week, and I learned that Jesus didn't go around putting up sponsored ads for his services. If you read the Bible, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, there's no instance of Jesus like saying, hey, everybody, come here. He's not inviting us or advertising this abundant life. In fact, Jesus spends a significant amount of time convincing people to not follow him because he wants them to count the cost. He wants us to take it seriously. You've heard of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Those are kind of the big four. Can I tell you, in every single one of those, I did the research. In every single one of those, Jesus went around convincing people to not follow him. Matthew 16, verse 24. I've got it right here. I put sticky notes in my Bible so that I could still get lost up here and have to wait a couple seconds. Matthew 16, 24, Jesus said to his disciples, whoever wants to be my disciple must deny themselves, pick up their cross, and follow me. That doesn't sound like hey guys, this is going to be really cool. You're going to be blessed. You're going to be healthy. You're going to be wealthy. You're going to be happy. Sounds like a deny yourself, pick up a cross, which is an execution tool, and follow me. Well, that's Matthew. Maybe Mark has something different to say. What did Mark say? Oh, there was this guy named the rich young ruler, and he went up. He wanted to follow Jesus. And Jesus told this guy, trying to convince him out of it, you need to sell everything you have, give it all away, and then come follow me, knowing that this was something that would mess with this guy's heart, cause him to pick his priorities and his values, and people heard it. And let me read it. Verse 22 of Mark 10. At this, the man's face fell. He went away sad, for he had many possessions. And then Jesus looked around and said to his disciples, how hard it is for the rich to enter the kingdom of God. This amazed them. And then Jesus said, hey, guys, dear children, it's very hard to enter the kingdom of God. In fact, it's easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle. You've heard that before. Than for somebody to enter the kingdom of God. This is difficult. And not everything in Scripture is exciting and encouraging. Some of it is real because life is real. And life is difficult at some times. But that's Mark. You know, I'm sure that Luke, come on somebody, I'm sure that Luke, it sounds like Lewis. I'm a happy guy. I'm sure there's something in here. No, not really. A large crowd was following Jesus. And then he turned around and said to them, if you want to be my disciple, you must by comparison hate everyone else. Oh my goodness. It's easy to hate an Alabama fan. It's a lot harder to hate everybody else. Again, the sports people are like, he doesn't like the state of Alabama. And you're right. You're right. I've got family there and I still don't talk to them. They live in Alabama. Do you blame? Okay. Crimson Tide, football. Okay. Jesus said, where am I? There's nothing in Alabama about the Bible. Okay. It says, and if you do not carry your own cross, there's that theme, and follow me, you cannot be my disciple. Verse 28, it said, Jesus said, you don't begin until you count the cost. For who would begin construction of a building without first calculating the cost to see if there'd be enough money to finish it? Otherwise, you might only get the foundation done, and then before you run out of money, and then everyone would laugh at you. They'd say, there's a person who started off but didn't make it. We got to count the cost. I'm sure John, that's the spiritual one. What does John have to say about this? Oh, okay. So Jesus, the large crowd that had stayed on the shore, they came to Jesus. And this is a big old passage, but Jesus says some provocative stuff. He says, I'm the bread of life. You have to eat my flesh. You have to drink my blood, and then you will be born again. He was saying provocative things so that they would count the cost. It says that the crowd murmured, that they began to argue. And then chapter 6, verse 66 says, many of the disciples turned away and deserted him. I'm convinced of something, that revival is necessary, that following Jesus is the best decision you'll ever make in your entire life. But just because it's the best thing you could do with your life doesn't make it the easiest thing you'll do in your life. I want us to count the cost tonight. What does it cost to follow Jesus? Is it going to cost me showing up to church once a week and then kind of checking it off the box? Because I can get away with that. But is it going to cost me something more? What will it cost to bring revival? What will it cost to follow Jesus? Tonight, I want to look at maybe this is the most famous verse about revival that you've heard. And maybe you've heard it, maybe you haven't. But it's in Matthew chapter 9. Jesus traveled all around the towns and the villages of the area. I'm in verse 35. Teaching the synagogues and announcing the good news about the kingdom. And he was healing people with all kinds of diseases. And then he saw the crowds. He had compassion on them because they were confused and helpless like sheep without a shepherd. Jesus has compassion on even us. And then he said to his disciples, the harvest is great, but the workers are few. So pray to the Lord of the harvest and ask him to send more harvesters into the field. What he's saying is that people are ready to receive the news of Jesus. There just needs to be a few more workers who are willing to go out there and do it. And then what Jesus does is he commissions those guys to go out and to be those harvesters and to be those workers. Chapter 10, verse 1 says, then he called his disciples together and he gave them authority to cast out evil spirits, to heal every kind of disease and illnesses. And then it lists out everybody who was with him right there. And then Jesus sent the disciples out with these instructions. He said, as you go, proclaim the message. The kingdom of heaven has come near. Heal the sick, raise the dead, cleanse those who have leprosy, drive out demons. Freely you have been given, freely give. And then he says, do not bring any gold or silver or copper to take with you in your belts. No bag for the journey, no extra shirt, no sandals, no staff, for the worker is worth his keep. Whatever town or village you enter, search there for some people and stay at their house until you leave. Okay, we don't have that part. Oh, we do. It's right there. Okay, stay at their house until they leave. I want us to look at four costs of revival. 4 costs of revival. And the first one is do not get any gold or silver or copper and bring that with you. Now, what that was is that was their currency. That was their money. That's how they were going to get around. And I'm questioning Jesus. You said that there was a great harvest. You said that the workers were few. Why are you not resourcing us? How are we going to get a hotel? How are we going to get some food? How are we going to be able to make it to tomorrow? And Jesus says, I'm telling you, I'm teaching you something in this moment that God's going to provide for you. But what revival will cost, I want you to write this down. What revival will cost is your security. Because that copper, that gold, that was their currency, that was their money. And in money we trust, don't we? Whenever we've got our money, we feel like we've got it going on. Whenever we're secure in our finances, we feel like we're the man, we're the woman, we got it going on. I'm independent, I don't need anybody. But what revival will cost is your security. It'll cost you saying, I don't know how we're going to make it, but I know that God has put it on our hearts and on our lives to make sure that we honor God with this 10% called the tithe. I've got to make it happen because revival costs something. And it's not free to go out and launch a bunch of different campuses. It's not free. You know, our church has been in Fort Myers every single day since the hurricane. That's not free. And so it's going to cost us. In fact, this idea of the tithe, it's so important. God will bless you because of it. You can test God in it. You can see he will bless you. But if you look at that first church, they didn't go by 10%. They went by like 100% rule. They were like, whatever I have, I've been freely given, I'm going to freely give. Revival is going to cost us our security. It's not going to feel comfortable. It's not going to feel good. We're going to have questions, but I'm telling you, that if we trust God in this, revival will come. What was the second cost of revival? Take a look at this. It says here, so they didn't take any gold, they didn't take any copper, they didn't take their money, and then it said, don't bring a bag. That's interesting. Don't bring sandals, don't bring a walking stick. My question is like, man, those shoes are gonna wear out. That road's not a comfortable road. What revival will cost you, write it down. Revival will cost you your security, and revival will cost you your comfort. It's not going to be comfortable going out there for revival. It's not going to be comfortable giving everything you have. It's not going to be comfortable changing your schedule around so that you can be a part of what God is doing. It's not comfortable, but I'm telling you, it's what God has for us. And I trust that God is a good God. And even though we're uncomfortable in a moment, that there's going to be something better for us in the future. Revival is going to cost us our comfort. Think about the stories of revival that we've told. We told about people who sat on their knees and prayed for hours and hours and hours, not comfortable. Think about revival of a football coach in 1984 who quit his job. He's a very successful coach who quit his job to start a Bible study in his church that's now called Christ Fellowship Church. Not comfortable. What about that conversation that brought you to this room? It's not comfortable for somebody to say, hey, I don't know what you're going to think about this, but I think you should come and join me on Thursday night. I think you should come on Sunday morning. It's not comfortable, but revival is not supposed to be comfortable. We talked about desperate hearts. Are we going to have desperate hearts, or are we going to have content and comfortable hearts? Revival is going to cost us our security. It's going to cost us our comfort. And then look at the next thing that it says. And this one, we don't have it on the screen, but if you're in your Bible, we're in chapter 10, or there's a Bible app. I want you to download it because we're going to be walking through the Bible every single time you show up here. Verse 16. Not verse 16. Verse 12. Says, as you enter the home, give it your greeting. If the home is deserving, then let your peace rest on it. If not, let your peace return to you. Basically what he's saying, if you don't feel comfortable, if somebody doesn't welcome you into the house, then you're not going to leave your peace there. If anyone will not welcome you or listen to your words, leave that home or town and shake the dust off your feet. Truly, I tell you, it will be more bearable for Sodom and Gomorrah on that day of judgment than for that town. This little narrative right here, these books of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John that we've talked about are eyewitness accounts to what happened whenever Jesus was alive. And all four accounts talk about these 12 disciples being sent out by Jesus. And all four include this one detail, that if you show up to a place, be willing to shake the dust off your feet and keep on moving. Now, what in the world does that mean? And I've got shoes. I don't have dust on my feet. I'll take a magic eraser and I have no more dust on my shoes anymore. It's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the willingness to not be attached to a place. Revival is going to cost you your future. It's going to cost you your plans. I'm sure those guys, those disciples, those men, those women, they showed up to some towns. And they thought, this is a comfortable place for us to be. There's people that love us. The food is good. It's not Alabama, so we're okay staying here for a while. We're okay staying here for a while. But what revival takes is your future. Revival takes some open hands to say, God, if this is not the place that I'm supposed to be, I'm willing to go. If you're dating, Lord, if this is not the person you want me to be with, I'm willing to change. If you're working, Lord, if this is not the job you want me to be in, I'm willing to go. Or if this is the job you want me to be in and I hate it, I'm willing to stay. Because I'm not going to be attached to the location of either my feet or my heart. Revival is going to cost me my future. This is tough. Revival is going to cost me my security, comfort, my future. This is not great. What else is revival going to cost me? We're gonna keep on going down. Verse 16, Jesus says, I am sending you out like sheep among wolves. Therefore be as shrewd as snakes, as innocent as doves. Be on guard. You will be, we got a promise coming, handed over to the local councils, and you will be flogged in the synagogues. That's beat, that's tortured. On my account, you will be, there's another promise, brought before the governors and kings as witnesses to them and to the Gentiles. But when they arrest you, so there will be arrest, that's tough. Don't worry about what to say or how to say it. At that time, you will be given what to say, for it will not be you speaking, but the Spirit of your Father speaking through you. Brother will betray brother to death, and father will betray child. The children will rebel against their parents and have them put to death. You will be hated by everyone because of me. But the one who stands firm to the end will be saved. When you are persecuted in one place, flee to another place. And then when you're persecuted there, keep on going. Truly, I tell you, you will not finish going throughout the towns of Israel before the Son of Man comes. The student is not above the teacher. The servant is not above the master. It is enough for the students to be like their teachers and servants, like their masters. If the head of the house has been called a devil, how much more will the members of his household? That's weird and confusing. Jesus was called a devil and was crucified. And he's saying, if they're going to treat me that way, you know that they're probably going to treat you that way. Revival is going to cost some security. It's going to cost some comfort. It's going to cost your future. And it might cost your life. We feel really good here in South Florida. We live in a nation, as broken as it is, that allows us the freedom to worship God. I'm not afraid that anybody's going to burst in these windows, but that's not true of everyone. In fact, globally, 1 out of every 8 Christians lives in a place where they are persecuted. Let me read this stat to you. And this was on Forbes magazine through an organization called Open Doors. On average, every day, 13 Christians are killed for their faith. 12 churches are attacked every day. 12 Christians are unjustly arrested every day. 5 Christians are abducted for faith-related reasons every day. So what's that song we were singing? Pour out revival. Oh my goodness. It's gonna cost me. If that's a prayer I'm actually praying, if that's not just a song and lyrics and karaoke, if that's a prayer that I'm praying, that's gonna cost me my security, my comfort, my future. And I just happen to be born in a place where that's not gonna literally cost my life. Jesus, he's saying the harvest is plenty, the workers are few. And he's sending them out. This is a sermon that is sending them out. And as he sends them, this is what he says next. And I want you to catch on to the phrase that's repeated. This is what he says next. That's the part I didn't put in there. This is what he says next. Are we there? Don't be afraid of those who threaten you. For the time is coming when everything that is covered will be revealed, and all that is secret will be made known. What I tell you now in the darkness, you will one day shout out from the rooftops. Don't be afraid of those who want to kill your body. They cannot touch your soul. Fear only God, who can destroy both soul and body in hell. What is the price of 2 sparrows? The price of a coin. but not a single sparrow will fall to the ground without your heavenly Father knowing it. Even the number of hairs on your head are numbered. So, don't be afraid. You are more valuable to God than a whole flock of sparrows. He says, don't be afraid 3 times. He emphasizes this point. The first time he said, don't be afraid. What I've whispered in the shadows will be shouted from the rooftops. What is he talking about? Well, through the whole journey of his life, he would whisper, hey guys, they're gonna arrest me. They're gonna convict me. They're gonna try to crucify me. I'm gonna give my life up. But don't worry, in 3 days, I'm gonna rise from the dead. But don't tell anybody yet, I don't want any spoilers. And then he'd go over here and say, hey guys, there's like no way for you to get to know God unless God gets to know you. So I'm gonna go to a cross and I'm gonna die. It's all right. 3 days later, just hold on a little bit. But just don't tell anybody yet. So in that moment, Jesus is saying, don't be afraid, because I will die for you. Don't be afraid. I will be put into a grave. Don't be afraid, because I'm whispering right now, but in 2022, we're going to get like 150 young adults together in a room. And we're going to be able to shout on the rooftops that Jesus has died, he has been buried, and he has been rose from the grave. He's seated on high and coming back for me. I can shout it from the rooftops. So I don't need to be afraid. And then he says, don't be afraid of people that can only harm your body and not your soul. You are more than the flesh on your body. You are more than your experience. You are created by God in the image of God. So don't be afraid to stand before men, because you were made by God. In fact, you put your faith in Jesus, you can then stand with confidence that every single one that the Father gives to Jesus, your soul, my soul, Jesus isn't going to let go. So what are people going to do to me? I believe that the moment I die, somebody's going to have to tell me I died, because I'm going to go from earth to heaven in an instant. And I'm going to go from glory to glory, from grace to grace. I think that the moment I breathe my last, I'm going to inhale in the breath of heaven and feel like I had never died and feel like I had never lived. I'm going to have new life. So don't be afraid. Then he says, don't be afraid. You're worth more than a flock of sparrows. And that's the weirdest one, I think. But what he means is you have worth. Don't be afraid. God sees you. God values you. If he knows the numbers of hair on your head, I think he knows the number of doubts and fear in your heart. And he values you. And he tells you to not be afraid. And we can go back to that verse. Team, come on up here. We can go back to that verse that says, if anyone wants to follow me, you must pick up your cross, deny yourself, and follow me. And we could go back to that rich young ruler, and can I tell you what happened after that conversation? The disciples said, if it's so hard to bring revival, if it's so hard to follow God, how can anybody do it? And Jesus, it says, looked at them intently. And I just wonder what he was thinking about. Because I think he was thinking about him and the cross. And then he says, with men, with people on your own, it's impossible. But with God, all things are possible. How are we going to bring revival? I don't know, but with God, all things are possible. How am I going to pick up my cross and follow Jesus? Because Jesus picked up his cross and followed my heart to rescue me. Jesus left the security of heaven. That's what revival cost him. He left the security of the throne room of God, who had never experienced pain, to be hung on a cross. Jesus, he left his comfort. Revival cost him his comfort. Scripture says that heaven is his throne and that the earth was his footstool. And then he began to walk on that earth he created. Uncomfortable. What did my salvation cost Jesus? His future. He came to earth, became a human. And if you want to do more research, look up. It's this theological idea called the eternal generation of the Son. What it means is that Jesus is forever a human. We're going to get to heaven, and Jesus is going to have just as much flesh and blood. He's going to have 2 eyes, 1 mouth. He's going to have a nose, some ears. He's human just like you and I are. Forever in eternity, he changed to be like us so that we could then be like him. Crazy. What did salvation cost Jesus? His life. But you were worth it. I was worth it. Jesus said, I'm going to count the cost of what it would mean to save my people. And he considered us worth it. So now what's our response? What's our response to this love that has been shown to us? This revival that Jesus brought to my life. I think my response, that verse said, freely you have been given, freely give. I think I have to go out and count the cost of revival and say, if Jesus went through it for me, then here's my comfort, here's my security, here's my future, here's my life. Jesus, send me. Send me. And if you're in this space and you're like, I actually don't know Jesus like you're talking about him, I'm telling you, Jesus came to earth to get to know you. And if you want a relationship with Jesus, it can happen in a moment right now. In fact, I believe that Jesus may have orchestrated all of creation to get a hold of your attention in this moment. And what does he ask of you? To pick up your cross and follow him. We haven't been shy about that at all. But Jesus, when I ask anything of you that he doesn't do himself, he took up his cross. He loved you. He's going to carry you. It's difficult. With men, it's impossible. With us, it's impossible. But with God, all things are possible. If you're in this room, in fact, we're all in this room. I want us to stand up right now. We're about to go into this song, but I want us, before we start singing about revival, I want to give you an opportunity, if you're in this moment, to receive the salvation of Jesus. I believe that Jesus is who he says he is, and that when we recognize our need for him, he will fill our lives. Holy Spirit will fill us up, and our eternity is different after that. If in this moment you want to become a Christian with every eye closed right now, if you want to receive that salvation from Jesus, if you want to be made new, if you want to be made whole, we're going to pray a prayer together. And it's not the prayer, it's the decision in your heart that'll save you. But if that's you, in the privacy of this moment, I want you to look up at me. I'm going to become a Christian. I see you, I see you, I see you. And we're going to take it another step. You're going to pick up a cross. How about, can you pick up a hand? On the count of 3, or you're going to follow Jesus. On the count of 3, 1, 2, 3. Hands up all over this place. I see you, but way more importantly, God sees you. And we're all going to repeat this prayer. But if this is you, you're going to pray it a little bit. This is your prayer. You're going to own it. We're saying, Jesus, thank you for loving me. I believe that you died, that you rose from the grave, and that I will rise with you. I give you my life, and I turn from my sin. I will follow you the best I know how. In Jesus' name, amen, amen. Come on, put your hands together. Hands were up all over the place. Now the rest of us, the rest of us, we're not gonna pray a prayer. We're gonna sing a song, because I think that our response should be a response of revival. I think our response should be a response that says, whatever it is, whatever it costs, I'm willing to follow Jesus. If Jesus would do all that for me, I'm gonna follow him the best I know how. I'm praying that God would send revival down, that the Lord of revival would come down, that the harvest is plenty. Come on, we are the workers and we are not few. We are gonna storm out of here. We're gonna break down the gates of hell. We're gonna go in and tell all the lost brothers and sisters that they can't find home. And it's gonna happen with us. It's our turn now. Say that. It's our turn now.